rainfall, and that's something that I think people can sense as well. If you talk to farmers, they can certainly tell you about it.
Yeah, and those nighttime low temperatures are actually somewhat tied to the increasing moisture because we've had these humid days where the temperature can't cool down at night. So I think that is definitely a big, and then Tim and I, we both live in this area in the Western Carolinas where it's rapidly developing. So we've got a lot more impervious surfaces as well than we did 10 or 15 years ago, which leads to flash flooding. So I do know we have one question, Tim. We often put this up there, and Lily Aldridge over there, our super intern, what is the question that got texted into us, Lily, that we can answer by the end of the show here?
So John wants to know what month it starts to begin getting less humid. So when does that dew point start going back down?
Oh, that's a good question. And most years, I would say mid to late September is kind of that magic time frame where I start to notice it. That's also when it tends to get cooler. Part of the reason I don't think it happens sooner, Tim, is because we have such a big influence from tropics in August and early September that sometimes it gets more humid before it starts to dry out.
September can be just as bad as now occasionally, but it can vary week to week, right? Like if you get a tropical system that moves in, it could park that bad humidity over you for 7 to 10 days. But October, someone asked me on my Facebook page today, they said, when are we going to get a big relief from the heat? And I said, October. That's
October 1st.
When we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, I think about college football. When you kind of get into conference play in college football, that's when we start to actually feel a little bit better around here. That's local season at the beach down there. You kind of go down there and kids are in school. People are enjoying the beach for a change. But yeah, it's not really until that late September timeframe typically.
Yeah. And before we go, I'd be remiss. We got some breaking news, Tim. This is out of California, by the way. We've got a really good visuals from our stations out there. KCBS and KCAL has got this video of a wildfire. It's 100 acres burning freeway lines in Chino Hills area. So this is a huge fire. It looks like spreading pretty rapidly. I could see fire retardant being spread. That red, that's what the red is there. Actually, look, they spread it across the interstate there. And, it's getting into late summer. This is going to be wildfire season developing out there in California. But, Tim, something we're going to have to watch going into the fall and winter here. We're going to be a year removed from Helene, which we'll talk probably a lot in future shows, but wildfires here could be a problem in our upcoming fall season as well.
We'll still have extra to be. We'll have to watch that over the next couple of weeks.
All right, Tim. Well, we're out of time today. Went quick. Hope to see everybody tomorrow. Stick around. We have more Impact News coming up.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for sticking around for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. Right off the top, we want to get to this breaking news that we've been following out of Charlotte. This is a situation that we actually kind of briefed you on very briefly towards the end of our 6 o'clock newscast because we were just getting word of it at that time and we had very little information. At this point, you could see we've got new live images coming into our newsroom. Just moments ago, our photographer has arrived on scene and is sharing some of these images, what the scene looks like with us there on East Independence. You can see, and we alluded to this before, there does appear to be a police cruiser involved in this crash. And based on the damage, it looks like there might be maybe some front passenger side damage. Maybe that is where the collision happened. We are still trying to get some more information on injuries, how long this situation is going to be sitting in the roadway, what led up to this, every sort of detail we're asking. We're trying to get you as much information as we can. In the meantime, what we can tell you basically from what we're able to see and what we're seeing reported from DOT, that there is at least one lane closed. This is going to be Independence close to Briar Creek Road. Looks like this could be in the bus lanes. You know, based on what we're saying, I know, James, you were kind of alluding to that.
Yeah, it looks like it's right in the middle of Independence, Vanessa, and these bus lanes were just reopened within the last few months, and they're used by school buses, CATS buses, and emergency vehicles. So how this crash occurred in that bus lane will be part of the investigation, but you can see that the traffic lanes, for the most part, seem to be open, except for the traffic that's coming towards us. We saw that one police car there in the leftmost lane, and you can see right now this red vehicle that was involved in the crash, and I'm sure that the other impact to this would be if you typically ride CATS buses home from this evening commute, you're going to be in with the normal group of drivers in the normal travel lane since the bus lanes are clearly closed for this investigation.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I get CATS notifications. I haven't gotten anything from the app that indicates there would be any delay of sorts based on the situation, but we'll monitor. If we get any word on that front, we'll definitely pass that along, but at the very least, potential rerouting of where you're usually going to be driving or riding if you do ride with CATS. Like we mentioned, still waiting to get some information confirmed, but definitely a situation where we know that there is the potential for injury, and that we only say that, the potential, just based on the fact that we know that medic responded to the scene. Now, that's not to say that medic indeed transported anyone or medic treated anyone, but it was a situation where medic did have to respond, and we know sometimes that does involve either treatment on scene or transportation. So if we get anything from medic, we'll definitely pass that one along to you as well. So breaking news once again for folks just joining us here on Live Impact News. Independence near Briar Creek Road, some lane closures, looks like mostly in that bus lane. Maybe there's a partial closure on the left-hand side where a new patrol car has showed up to the scene, and CMPD patrol car appears to be involved with a collision there. Okay, with that, folks, we want to turn to some other headlines that we're following for you today. We got a lot on the table. We've been following some developments on a national front. We've been following weather-related impacts, and I know we've been talking a lot about the heat here in the Charlotte area, at least for a while, but we really wanted to touch on severe weather just because we know we are in the midst of hurricane season. We also know that we've been seeing a whole lot of flooding, not just here in some parts of North Carolina because of Chantal, but we're also seeing the impacts of flooding in other states. Of course, Texas comes to mind since it's been so devastating to see that imagery and sadly the death toll coming from there. We know we talked about, just a couple days ago here on Live Impact, the Missouri flooding. And it doesn't just involve people. We know that can involve animals as well. And so we just wanted to make sure that everyone was fully aware of how to best prepare, because we talk a lot about how to keep you and your family safe. We want to make sure that we're talking about our furry family members as well. So, and by the way, you're seeing here imagery from that recent Texas rescue of animals that were actually impacted by the flooding. And there was a group out of Virginia that went to Texas, as you could see, loading those dogs up into planes and cats. And they basically brought them back to Virginia. So the shelter there in Texas did not have to deal with worries of overcrowding or how are we going to take care of these animals when it's tough enough to maybe even take care of ourselves because we're in the midst of a natural disaster. So we want to bring in Melissa Nicely, who's with Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control. Thanks so much for joining us here, Melissa. Good to see you again.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I mean, a really important topic. I feel like, every single year, we are so thorough here at WCNC Charlotte about trying to make sure that folks know how to prepare for weather impacts. And we just want to make sure that the pets don't get lost in the mix, because you don't want to be stuck last minute facing an emergency and being like, what am I going to do with my dog or my cat? Or in some cases, like my horse,
Exactly. All those are really great reminders that we just never know what the natural disaster could be. It could be localized flooding and flash flooding, like we've seen a lot recently. It could be things like tornadoes. We also, look at the impact that we receive with a lot of the hurricanes and that sort of thing. So there's always things that could happen, and some of the things could happen very quickly, and some of them we may have a little bit of time to prepare. So it's always a good thing to think about quickly. Like if you're in a quick situation like we've heard of recently in the news, where this flash flooding is giving people just very quickly, trapping them and things like that. And so I made a list. I thought about all the things that I've talked about for over the years about pet preparedness. And for me personally, I took myself into consideration, and I thought, what would I grab? What would I do? And honestly, and people feel free to judge me as we talk through the evening, because I'm that crazy person that thinks about all the things that could go wrong.
No, we love that.
So I always do make sure that I have leashes and collars, different places in my house, because I have a 2-story house. So I make sure I have extra leashes upstairs in case of a house fire and I'd need to get outside or something like that, and go out the window perhaps or something like that. So I do keep some upstairs and I keep some downstairs. But that's the one thing that you really want to make sure that you have handy, that you know where they are, is leashes, collars, harnesses for dogs. That way you can just grab them as quickly as you can, and that way you'll be able to control your animal no matter what the situation is. And then also it's great, you may not use your cat carrier very often, maybe that once a year trip to the vet for the shots, but make sure that you have a cat carrier for each cat. And make those, somewhere that, like on your exit plan out of the house, that you can grab those, whether maybe it's a coat closet. There's often a lot of coat closets that are right inside the entryway. That's a good place to put all your extra stuff. So those are things that I think for me, like if I'm having to leave in a hurry and I need to take my animals, those are the things that I'm going to need the most. If you have a little bit more time, and this is something you can do now, is medical records. They're very key because it shows the vaccinations that they have, and also the rabies certificate. So what I like to tell everybody is make a copy of it so you can get them from your vet. If you don't have them with you and you can't find them, they can email them to you. Just call your vet. They can email them to you. Keep a copy in your glove box. That's a great place to keep a copy. Keep a copy of your microchip records as well, because that way you know the number. If you don't have a microchip, then we need to talk about that too, because you need to get a microchip. It is the best thing in emergency situations if your pet is lost from you, to be able to get your pet back to you. But the other thing that's important to have is any medications that they might have. So as you're going out the door, think about, like, is your animal on a special medication that it would be a problem if it didn't get it every single day. So those are my tops. Those are my top things. What I like to tell everybody too, and you're going to hear me say this a few times, put all your paper medical records that you have, put them in a Ziploc freezer bag, or whatever brand that you would like to
So it
use.
doesn't get wet.
So it doesn't get wet,
Yeah.
because oftentimes you're leaving and it's raining or it's flooding or those sorts of things, and that's going to keep everything nice and dry. I recommend to do that with the medications as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think about too, your recommendation about having the medical records, because, it's great to just have them in general, but I think about situations, for example, when I lived in Florida and we would cover hurricane after hurricane, there was always a question over, is the shelter that you might need to go to take cover, do they accept pets? And if so,
Right.
does the shelter require a proof of, hey, that your dog has been vaccinated against XYZ to be able to get into the shelter if you needed to?
And sometimes, depending on how they are, and I'm sure it's different in different states as well, because there's always different requirements in
Yeah.
different states. But the nice thing about it is that I know we have run shelters before where we take vaccines with us and we can vaccinate animals upon entry. But personally, I wouldn't want my animal, if it's already vaccinated, to get another set of vaccines. So just simply having that medical paperwork with you is going to save your pet from getting extra vaccines that it may not need. The other thing that I would recommend is store, because most of the time the vets will email you a record and it's in a format of a PDF. You can store that on your phone as well. And I
Yeah.
think it's a great place to store it because then you always have it no matter where you are.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that information will have not only your rabies certificate information, but it'll also have your microchip information on it as well with that number.
Yeah, it's really great advice. And I mean, we talk about all the time, prepare, don't wait till the last minute. And in the human context, I mean, we know what that means, but I think about as well, the fact that during, for example, Hurricane Helene, which of course everyone who, remembers here in the Carolinas and the impacts of that, one of the stories that we saw, one of the headlines we saw, down the road as pets were kind of turning up was the fact that there were a lot of pets that were actually lost during Helene because they ran away or whatnot. And our mountain communities, our high country, those shelters there or the rescues, whatever agency they had up there dealing with animals, like they got inundated and they were overwhelmed. And so sometimes I feel like folks think, well, it's not going to happen to me. I don't really need to do this, but we see that it does happen. And when it does happen, it can be really serious, the consequences.
It really can. And the last thing that a lot of the shelters need is all these extra animals because they've already got animals there. And so that can cause a huge backup for space and that sort of thing. So that is why, we want to be prepared. We want to make sure they're wearing ID tags. We want to make sure that they're microchipped and that sort of thing. So if your pet does go missing, you can easily get reunited with your pet. But it is something to think about because even those shelters in all of the areas in Western North Carolina, a lot of them were getting flooded and a lot of them were getting displaced and things like that. So at that point in time, they're not even going to be able to help the pet owners because they're trying to help, themselves and save the animals that were in their shelters. Yeah. So anything that you can do ahead of time, I like to say have a grab and go bag. With a lot of supplies in there. And I love that you can use the, Google and easily just put what should I put in my pet supply bag and that sort of thing. And it's going to give you a nice list of things. But it's the same things we talked about, like put it in your coat closet. Just a little duffel bag or a backpack or something like that. And you'd be surprised at what you can fit in there. We always tell everybody that if you really want to get really prepared, especially during like hurricane season or whatever it might be that, may be affecting your area, is you want to have no less than 7 days supply of pet food. And water and things like that. And this is nice because this can also remind you things that you need to have as well as, like you're going to need some water on hand and that sort of thing. But extra leashes, extra collars, again, the copies of the medical reports. I like to put in there a flea and tick and heartworm pill, at least so you have one because you never know how long you're going to get displaced. And that's usually a once a month thing. Get your dry food, canned food. I recommend sticking a can opener in there because some pet foods you can open, but some you need, some you need a can opener. So we talk about that. Kongs, toys, blankets, towels, especially if they have a blanket that has their scent on it because it's going to make them more comfortable. Paper towels, cleaning disinfectants, food and water bowls, and a litter pan. I put this in here because I think this is brilliant. They have disposable litter pans now, and the brand is called Cat's Pride, and it's called Cat Kit. And it literally is like a litter pan that has the litter already inside, and then you just open it up. And to me, that's a brilliant thing because you put that in your coat closet, with your bag and everything, and you just can grab that as well.
And it's kind of like easy in the sense of you're probably at that point dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
mentally, physically, just, literally in front of your eyes, that maybe that's just going to be the easiest solution for you.
Right.
Just open that and be done with it.
Right.
So I did want to mention this as well, because we had alluded to the fact that sometimes there are like special situations with other animals, like horses or birds and such. We have an article on our website that, we can have folks check out if you want more information on that front. I know, because we were kind of dog and cat specific, but we know a lot of folks have dogs and cats. WCNC.com. And then when you go to our website, you can just search for pet hurricane preparedness, and you'll see one of our articles from, pre-hurricane season, where our team kind of put together kind of what you said, plus there's special considerations for maybe larger animals or birds. I wanted to make sure that we talked about, the fact that down the road, just in a couple days, we have, it's like dog selfie day, which I know it sounds silly because, we all take selfies with our dogs, from time to time,
Hundreds.
if you're a dog owner or your cat. But there's actually a real reason, a serious reason for this. And it kind of interlocks with what we've just been talking about.
It does, yes. This Saturday, the July the 26th, is National Dog Photography Day. So if you don't have anything that you're working on and stuff, make sure that you do this on Saturday. Is you want to take a picture and you want to do a selfie with your animal. And this isn't just for pet preparedness. This can be actually proof if your dog was stolen or something. It's going to show that you are the owner because you literally have the pet with you in the picture. So Saturday, take a bunch of selfies. Make sure that you have those on your phone stored somewhere. Send them to maybe some friends and that sort of thing, so there's extra copies in case you lose your phone or something. And that is going to be really come in handy if there was ever a case of like identification and they're going to say, well, can you prove that this is your dog, or prove that this is your cat or your lizard or your snake or whatever it might be. The other thing that is crucial is taking a picture of your pet from different angles, like maybe a picture of the face, a picture of the side of your pet, and then anything that's going to show specific markings. Because if for some reason in an emergency situation you lose your pet, or just in everyday life you lose your pet, you're going to want to use those pictures to make flyers. And you're going to want to make sure that you have most updated ones. And that's why I love this day on Saturday, because if you're someone unlike me or unlike Vanessa, who doesn't take pictures every day with their pets,
So many pictures. But anyways.
and you haven't updated a picture in 3 years of your cat Joe, then take a picture of Joe this weekend, because animals do change as they get older. Their features change, their colors change, their faces gray sometimes. And so it's really great to have a recent picture of your pet, so that if you ever are in a situation where you need to make a flyer because they're missing, I hope not, but if you do, you'll have some more recent pictures for people to help you identify your pet.
Yeah, great advice. Speaking of Joe the cat, we hear you have lots of Joe the cats.
We do.
At the shelter
We
right
have-
now. Actually, you just put out an alert a couple moments ago.
We did. Yeah, it's been coming. We've been getting fuller and fuller with kittens and cats, and this afternoon was kind of the breaking point. One of our folks from the sheltering division came in my office and said, hey, can your team start putting out some alerts?
Yeah.
We are full with cats and kittens. And so, of course, I had the miserable, horrible job of having to go get video and pictures
They're
of
cute.
all these amazing kittens. It's a terrible job to have. And I'm just telling you right now, if you are ready to adopt a cat or a kitten, we have so many. And the kittens, oh my. Just
Oh my,
so,
I can see,
so
yes, some of this video.
cute.
We're showing it right now.
Oh
by
my
the way.
goodness. They're so cute. All colors, all sizes, all personalities.
Hugging.
Yeah.
Cuddling.
Yeah, so cute. So right now, if you're looking to adopt, there's no better time. I love to say that you want to adopt 2 kittens, because it is so great to have cats that grow up together, and they're going to play with each other and not wake you up in the middle of the night.
Daylight saving time.
We do, exactly.
They have no idea.
Right
what the
now,
time
just to
changed.
look at the numbers, we have 193 kittens at the shelter.
my.
We have 75 cats, and we have another whopping 359 cats/kittens, which is probably mostly kittens, in foster care.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's a lot
Yeah.
of cats and kittens.
Yeah. You mentioned foster care. I mean, I have experience with fostering dogs. I'm kind of just curious, how different is it to foster a cat versus fostering a dog?
Sure. So you're very familiar with our foster program. I always like to let everybody know that we provide everything for you. So we'll provide a litter box, we'll provide supplies, litter, food, toys, whatever it takes. And we really have a lot of different fostering needs with kittens because we have a mom with kittens. So if you want to foster the mom and kittens, the mom does a lot of the work for you.
Oh, yeah.
We also, and I saw a really sweet mom that had 3 babies. And then we also have orphan kittens that doesn't have a mom and is going to require you to bottle feed. It's a little bit more of a commitment because you have to feed every 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But if you love the thought of bottle feeding little baby kittens and taking care of them and kind of being the mom, there's really nothing better to do. And again, we'll train you for that if you've never done it before. And we have all the supplies for that. And then if you're just like, I'd really don't have that time commitment, but I do have some, then we have the older kittens that basically are weaned off of the milk and they're eating food. They just need to gain weight and be socialized. And that's that little sort of like 4 to 8 week old kittens where they're starting to play. And a lot of the video that I took in the pictures is probably that age. Like most of them were eating food and they just have to reach a certain weight so that we can spay and neuter them. And it's a really fun assignment. And it actually would be great if you have your kids at home right now off school, because it would be a great experience for the kids too.
Yeah. A little life lesson, just how to take care of a pet. And it's super cute. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I love this video. We're still, I'm looking at some of it rolling. There you go. I was kind of
Just going to roll this for the rest of the show.
There we go. That's the rest of the show, folks. Just so adorable. And we know that this is the time of year. I mean, y'all get not just cats, dogs. I mean, you're inundated. The summertime, this is the time. I know we got clear shelters coming up too.
We do. We're so
Just
excited.
a matter of like
it
days.
It couldn't be a better time. You got like NBC does such a great job with the event, completely. And we love working with you guys here at CNC. And the other thing is about it is they plan it at the perfect time that shelters really need it. Shelters are really full in July and August. So our big event is going to be on the 23rd. So we'll be doing special stuff all month, but our big adoption day is going to be on July 23rd.
Yeah.
August 23rd. Sorry.
August. Yeah. What is a month? It just goes by fast.
It does.
I can't believe it. We're almost to August, and I know y'all are so full. So, yeah, we've planted the seed now. Clear the Shelters is coming up. I know we've got a few spots that are going to start rolling out on our air on TV, reminding folks of that shortly. So, I hope the community comes out. I know it's been a tough go. I mean, I remember the period when I started volunteering with y'all. It was just after the pandemic, which I almost feel is like the golden age for shelters. Everyone was adopting at that time during the pandemic because they were staying at home and they felt like they wanted a companion. And then afterwards, it kind of backslid and then some, it feels
The bottom
like.
dropped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you came at a time where you could actually walk through the kennels and there was tons of empty kennels. And just today I looked and we had 44 open dog kennels this morning, which was huge. I mean, as you know, that's a lot of space. When I left, we only have 25 open.
But that just goes to show how quickly dogs come in and out.
Exactly.
And in most cases, they're coming in.
Right.
People show up with lost dogs. You get your officers, your animal control officers dispatched to scenes. You never know if they're going to come back with 2 dogs or 20 dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anything you want to leave us with before we wrap things up here? Either about, we talked about a lot of topics, preparedness, cats, clear the shelters, anything.
I just think, if you have time and you have love in your heart, come and foster with us. And until you do it, you really just don't know the impact that you make. You literally are saving lives. And it feels so good and rewarding when you see that foster in a new home.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I agree in the sense that you kind of don't know how that's going to feel until you do it. And yes, it is sad to let them go. And folks will always ask me that, and I see other fosters asked this all the time. You know, how can you just love on this pet for days, weeks, maybe sometimes months, and then let them go? It's when you get the pictures of, you know,
like on your
the
desk.
kids in the new family.
Yes.
The kids loving on the dog. This is my most favorite, you know, thing in the whole world. We go everywhere together, and you're like, this is why
it was worth it.
Yeah. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
here on
you for
Live Impact.
having me.
We'll have you back again soon. Maybe around Clear the Shelters, which
Yeah,
is
that sounds great.
not too far away. Folks, thanks for keeping it with us here on Live Impact News. Of course, more to come on pet preparedness. We mentioned you can go to our website, WCNC.com, search for pet hurricane preparedness to get kind of like a rundown of some of the things that we talked about in this last segment. We got a new feed coming into the Live Impact News studio. So this is coming to us from Alabama. This is a Black Lives Matter protest, we're told. We've been seeing some reports going on and off.
Matter of fact, if we take a listen in right now, the reporter there from
reporter's
our
talking.
affiliate is giving a report.
Okay, let's listen in.
It blocked the traffic. They got a few people detained, and now they are leaving this area right now. But the protest is still going on. Again, we're going to be here monitoring this. Again, you can see people. Let's see if is she going to just park right here? Let's see what's okay. Okay, it looks like she's just dropping off water possibly for the protesters. So again, guys, a lot going on here right now. It sounds like it's starting to quiet down, but we're not completely sure. You can look to WVTM 13 News at 10 for the very latest and inside of the WVTM 13 app. Reporting live here in Homewood, I'm Jarvis Robertson, WVTM 13.
Okay, so folks, we caught the tail end of that, but let's kind of recap. And I know, James, you're listening to the report. Is he being asked a question before we kind of jump out of this?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Sometimes just kind of peek behind the curtain, folks. You have the reporter getting an anchor question. So let's listen.
It's because the Homewood soccer field it's over here. I won't say that it's secluded, but it's not around many businesses. It was supposed to start around 5:30. I would say probably around 5:45. The organizers they gather in a circle with other protesters and the family, and they just talked about their plans to come over here to the gas station. From there, that's when some of the protesters, or all of the protesters, got in their car. They drove over here. Some are parked at the pump. Others are parked behind the gas station. But again, they are calling for that 100-day boycott of all businesses in Homewood because they don't want protesters to spend money in this city until the family can get some type of answers. I want to bring your attention to the traffic right here. Homewood police, they had to close a portion of this traffic. They diverted the traffic off into this parking lot. So at one point, there was a stream of cars just stuck here trying to get out of the area. But again, it looks like the protesters, some of them are starting to leave at this point, but again, some of them are still going strong. I can tell you that there was one person, she was walking around holding sage and a bullhorn, chanting, protesting, raising her voice, letting people know that she was here to protest the death of Jabari Peoples. Brittany, Guy?
No justice! No peace! No Christian! No peace! No justice! No peace!
Okay, so bear with us, folks. We're listening in just to see if he takes another question from his anchor team and answers that. Okay, here it comes.
So that's interesting. The ones that are in the median, police, they did, from what I saw, police did not say anything to them. It was the
Well, we apologize about that, folks. We can actually show you some video of the protests earlier. In the meantime, until we get that feedback, if we can, we'll just recap what we know about the situation, what has prompted these demonstrations here. Once again, out of Birmingham, Alabama, that area, the governor apparently supported a state agency's refusal to release body camera footage. There was a deadly police shooting, an 18-year-old black college freshman, and this happened back on June 23rd. His name was Jabari Peoples, and he was shot by an officer with the Homewood Police Department. Like we mentioned, there have been calls to see the body camera footage of that encounter, and a state agency essentially has refused to release it. So once again, you're looking at earlier images from this protest from just moments ago. You can see it looks like there are some folks who are being detained or arrested.
Y'all watch it. Y'all.
Something that we can share too about this young man, Jabari Peoples. He apparently was an aspiring police detective. This is according to NBC News reporting. He was killed at a soccer complex. He was sitting in a parked car with his girlfriend. An officer approached his car around 9:30. The officer said that he thought he smelled marijuana. And there were allegations that they thought maybe Peoples was reaching for a gun. And so the officer shot Peoples as he thought. He said that he thought Peoples was reaching for a gun in the pocket of his car door. So obviously you can see and hear this community outside of Birmingham. Tensions growing here. Folks feeling very passionate about what has transpired and also what has happened afterwards, where there's been a call to see exactly what played out with video, and to this point, not seeing that video being released. If we're able to bring you back with more reporting, from the scene, live images, if we get some new information in, we'll definitely keep you updated here on Live Impact News. But in the meantime, they're outside of Birmingham, Alabama, protesters taking to the streets, literally in the streets, we can see in some cases, trying to share their message. What they're calling for, they say, accountability. Okay, so folks, with that, we wanted to turn to some of our other headlines that we're following today. We had Nate Morbido, our investigative reporter, earlier in this week, and he had some really interesting updates to share on an investigation that he had been working on for a few weeks. That investigation coming essentially kind of like to a fruition in the sense there was success getting answers and actually money, more than $8,000 back for a local animal rescue. Keep in mind, we just had Melissa Nicely on here from Charlotte Mecklenburg Animal Care and Control, and she was talking about how they get so full this time of year with pets in the shelter. And local rescues here, if you're not familiar sometimes with how the dynamic works, a lot of these rescues, when the shelters get full, will go to the shelters and they'll pull the pets from the shelters so that they can clear out kennels and the shelters can avoid having to put dogs down or put cats down because they're running out of kennels. And I know this is kind of getting into the weeds a little bit of, why would they put animals down? They are legally required to continue taking animals in, and when they do get full, when they run out of kennels, places to put these pets, they have to make those unfortunate decisions. So what we're seeing was this rescue, Daisy Bean Rescue, basically had to put things on hold. They weren't able to help out local shelters. They weren't able to pull any more dogs because they were actually having funding that was locked up. This online fundraisers, and for folks who have ever gone, let's say on Facebook or Instagram, and you see a friend had a birthday, and in honor of that birthday, they have a little post that says that they're raising money for XYZ nonprofit. Well, this was a situation where the rescue was raising money through that kind of same method. PayPal was actually the one that operates the fundraiser. And they say they had $8,600 that was basically sitting in purgatory at that point. And PayPal was like, okay, well, we got to look into this. And it was only because our Nate Morbido reached out. So let's listen in to Nate's reporting here on how he got some answers and what transpired after he got that money back.
Meg Mark's heart for rescues extends well beyond her backyard. In January, the rescue that forever connected her with Milo asked for donations to help cover another dog's vet bill, so she sent money.
I just assumed my money was going right to them for parvo intervention.
Only recently, almost 6 months after donating, Marks learned her money never made it to Daisy Bean Rescue. Where'd your money go?
That's a great question.
That $20 is among more than $8,000 raised through social media campaigns and collected by PayPal that failed to make it to the nonprofit, an organization that supports and fosters rescue dogs across the Carolinas. often saving their lives.
It's very frustrating. And at the end of the day, our dogs are left suffering.
Rachel Leeser is founder and president of Daisy Bean Rescue, which is solely funded by donations.
We're on a complete pause. We can't do anything right now.
Leeser says she spent months pestering PayPal to try and get some kind of resolution, with no luck.
It gets escalated every time.
In the meantime, PayPal emailed donors, telling them the company couldn't deliver the money and urged them to consider another charity instead.
It's really discouraging, yeah.
That's when Marks reached out to WCNC Charlotte on her friend's behalf,
I don't know what to do at this point.
knowing for once the nonprofit was the one that needed rescuing.
They deserve all the support that they can get.
While her dog sniffed us out, we emailed PayPal, and within minutes, the company promised to look into this.
By the end of the day, a relieved Leeser texted me this, saying a PayPal representative called her, apologized, and started working to get the money to Daisy Bean Rescue.
Can I please give you a hug? Thank you so much. I literally have been crying all the past 24 hours. Yes. I'm beside myself. I literally can't thank you enough.
Leeser learned the company did try and deliver the donations months ago. But instead of depositing the money into her PayPal Giving Fund account, mailed checks to the address listed on her account, a home she moved out of in December.
I hung up the phone with her and started crying. My husband came in the room and was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "We're getting the money. I can't believe they found it."
The company told her it would resolve the misunderstanding by the end of July. Just days later, the money arrived.
It's huge.
Leeser can't stop thinking about all the ways those donations will soon help so many dogs. In fact, it's already allowed her
We already were able to take in another dog this morning.
to start saying yes again to rescues. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
So great to see. And of course, big impact to the rescue. And as we mentioned, before we showed you Nate's piece, his update, now the rescue is able to make a positive impact on the shelter. So don't hesitate to reach out to our investigative team if you ever need any help, or reach out to any one of us on social media that you see on TV, on WCNC Plus or on WCNC Charlotte on the air. You can always email us as well. All our contact information is on our website, WCNC.com. So folks, here we promised you an update out of Alabama as we were getting any new live feeds coming in. We've got a live feed back from just outside of Birmingham, where we've got protesters who are taking to the streets in light of a decision to not release police body camera footage related to last month's fatal shooting of an 18-year-old. We were seeing someone being interviewed earlier. It looks like
The interview just wrapped up.
Yep, the interview just wrapped up. But we got folks who are back there in the roadway and on the median. This particular shot showing folks in the median, but we were seeing in some earlier angles that some folks were standing closer to the roadway, and in fact, in some cases, in the roadway. But we talked about the fact that these folks here are trying to call for accountability. They want to see more. They want to see more transparency with this case. Now, another situation where we are seeing, and this is closer to home actually, that we're learning here new on Live Impact News. Another case we're seeing folks asking for transparency is related to a viral video that comes to us out of Jacksonville, Florida. We actually played you some of that video earlier this week on Live Impact News, including the full press briefing from the Jacksonville sheriff, basically addressing this viral video where you can see during a traffic stop, an officer punches this man. His name is William McNeil. But we actually just got a statement this evening from Livingstone College here in the Charlotte area. This is in Salisbury. But apparently this young man goes to Livingstone. So there's a local connection here. This is the statement we got from Livingstone College president. It says, "Dear Livingstone College family, today I stood in solidarity with attorney Benjamin Crump and the family of William McNeil Jr., a biology major at our beloved Livingstone College, who was assaulted during a traffic stop by officers from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office in Jacksonville, Florida on February 19th. The entire Blue Bear Nation stands behind and beside Will, who is fighting for his and all of our civil rights to be protected from police brutality. On February 19th, Will's rights were violated, but he showed restraint. He showed resolve and he showed resilience. That is the Blue Bear way. A member of the Blue Thunder Marching Band, Will demonstrates his humanity to his fellow students in the community as a formal and informal volunteer, going out of his way to mentor and even help students who need minor car repairs, finding a little corner with a shade tree to get his peers back on the road. He even spent time helping to enhance air quality in our residence halls alongside our maintenance crew. Goes on to say, a member of the Blue Thunder Marching Band, there we go, I believe, our campus family believes the enduring words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And sorry, we had a graphic switch up there. We'll get that statement back for you. You can see it's back on your screen now. That hauntingly continue to ring true in 2025. Quote, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. As those words resonate in my mind and heart, and I hope they resonate in yours, I hope you will stand along with us as we pray for Will to receive justice in the horrifying acts that were exacted against him. Together in service, Dr. Anthony J. Davis, 13th president of Livingstone College, once again, just outside of Charlotte here in our area as we're broadcasting here in Charlotte and WCNC+. So I wanted to share that brand new information with you and remind you too, we shared the sheriff's side of things earlier this week because the sheriff released a couple angles, and you're actually watching some of that video right now of the incident in question. So this is police body camera footage, and you can kind of see the encounter as it starts and how it leads up to this eventual punching and physical encounter. But today, we actually heard from McNeil himself, alongside his attorney, Benjamin Crump, and we wanted to bring that to you actually right now here on Live Impact News. So this was from a little bit earlier today, where you can see William McNeil, his family, and family attorneys. They're speaking in Jacksonville. Let's listen in right now.
Good. All right, good morning. My name is Attorney Harry Daniels. Along with myself, Attorney Ben Crump. Also joining us, Attorney Keith out of North Carolina, Attorney Griggs as well. We got several other people that we're going to introduce in time. Before we get started, we're in the house of the Lord, and we're going to usher in the Spirit. We're going to bring up the Pastor Frank James. We're going to lead us in prayer this morning. All right, come on up.
Trying to make sure we get that up. We are having a bit of technical difficulties, but again, what we're talking about this morning is
God of all comfort. We ask that you comfort us right now. We ask that you let your spirit hover over this place right now. Father, help this team continue to fight injustice and brutality from police in America. Bless my nephew. Yes. Encourage him.
Yes, Lord.
Hold him in your arms.
Yes.
Touch him like nobody else can. Yes. And I thank you in advance for what's getting ready to happen. I expect everything changes today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor James. Also in attendance, we have the President, Livingstone College, President Davis here. On February the 19th, 2025 this year, America saw what America is. You saw injustice. You saw abuse of police power. But most importantly, we saw a young man that had a temperament to control himself in the face of brutality. William McNeil. Let me be clear. And people talked about him pleading guilty to resist without violence and driving on suspended license. That entire stop was not just pretextual, racial motivated, it was unlawful. And everything that stemmed from that stop was unlawful. What we're not going to do this morning is get in the back and forth between the leaders of Jacksonville. What we're going to do, we're going to focus on the facts. And everybody saw the video. You can release all the body cameras you want, but the body camera, the cell phone footage was unedited. It's a reality. You can talk about a knife being in the car, but it was not a weapon because he did not weaponize it. He stayed calm. The only weapon that day was a Jacksonville Sheriff Office. The nation saw it, everybody saw it. And we are here for redress and get justice for the Manille family.
Amen.
Nothing more, nothing less. William had a long road to recovery to go. I'm not going to get in his injuries. You see pictures and things online, but William attended Livingston College, band scholarship. His president is here today. So this narrative, they always have this narrative being, you know, he was a thug. Right. He was a criminal. That's the narrative.
Yes, sir.
But William was doing everything. William was doing everything right. A college student on scholarship, doing what's required of him to be a better person. And all he did was exercise his fundamental rights, his God-given rights, to answer a simple question: why are you stopping me? For not having headlights on during the day? Did y'all see the video where the officers came with no headlights on? No windshield wiping, no smoke, no fog, no rain. So anybody would be confused, why are you stopping me? And he exercised their right to answer that question, and they bullied him, intimidated him, broke his window, and beat him and caused permanent injuries. Look, I'm gonna step aside. We got a lot of folks up here get a chance to speak. Here, we'll come back for a Q&A. We will have limited Q&A with William. His parents is here. Solomon, Latoya, and his stepfather Alton is here as well, wearing the red. Next, I'm gonna bring up my good friend, my colleague, Attorney Bed. We home, we're in Florida, so I had to bring him home. Me and Crump, come on. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Attorney Harry Daniels. I'm honored to co-counsel with you and Attorney Keith and all of these great lawyers, Attorney Jackson and Attorney Robinson, because this is a very, very important case. As Attorney Daniels said, when William was stopped, there was no rhyme or reason, no rationale for them stopping him. I mean, this was a classic case of driving while black. Yep. And I applaud William McNeil for keeping his demeanor, his calmness. I mean, Attorney Daniels, I thought the trained police officers were supposed to be the ones to de-escalate the matter. They were the ones escalating the matter while this young man represented the best of us. He kept calm. He was trying to de-escalate the matter. He just kept asking simply, why are you stopping me? I mean, think about that. I understand the sheriff said anti-police. No. It's not anti-police when an American citizen asks, why are you stopping me? That is an American citizen exercising his constitutional rights. That's what William was doing. He was exercising his constitutional rights. And Attorney Daniels and I seek to remind America that we are a democracy, that we believe in the Constitution, and that all American citizens have a right to the protections of the Constitution, that this is not a police state where the police are above the law and that they have no accountability. No, the last time I checked, America is still a democracy, and our citizens still have a right to the Constitution. It goes without saying that the leaders now have to step up and be leaders. Look at that video. Look at that video with your own eyes. Listen with your own ears. We have audio, visual evidence, proof of what happened. Nobody has to narrate it for us. To the sheriff, respectfully, you can't justify this. You can't condone this. You have to condemn this. You have to look at that video and say, this does not reflect our training, our policies, or our values. And you need to terminate that officer immediately. Immediately. Because as Attorney Daniels and I deliberated over this matter, if you don't terminate this officer and you condone this type of police excessive force, then it sends a message to all of the other police officers on the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office team. It tells them it is okay for you to treat citizens like this. It is okay to treat black motorists like this. In America, it is not okay. It is not okay to treat our citizens like this. I know you're going to hear from his mother and father before you hear from William, but Attorney Daniels and I were astonished to hear his father, Alton Solomon, say, when I was 22 years old, the Sheriff's Department did a similar thing to me. They put me face down on the ground at gunpoint. And it wasn't right then, Mr. Solomon, and it wasn't right when they did it to William. It's never right to treat citizens like this. America, we're better than this. We're at a crossroads. We are a democracy. We believe in the Constitution. We are not a police state where the police can do anything they want to citizens without any accountability. We have to hold everybody accountable. That is what makes America the great beacon of hope and justice for the rest of the world tomorrow. Thank you, Attorney Daniels. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Real quick, just a reminder, this is it's a culture of the Jacksonville Sheriff Office. I've represented several people down here, names such as Jamie Johnson, LaKen Wood, so y'all remember was vicious beaten by the Jacksonville Sheriff Office. And you know, the common denominator, Jamie Johnson, they stopped him for a seatbelt violation. LaKen Woods, they stopped him for a seatbelt violation. And they tried to say they stopped Mr. McNeil for a seatbelt violation, but the video showed he had his seatbelt on. Listen, next person gonna bring up Attorney Griggs and Attorney Keefe real quickly to say some words. We're gonna bring in Dr. Davis of the president of Livingston College. Come on up real quick.
Attorney Gerald Griggs, Gerald Griggs, and I am a civil rights attorney in Atlanta. And when I saw the video of what happened to Mr. McNeil, I was aghast. It was horrific for somebody who was simply exercising their Fourth Amendment rights to ask for a supervisor as to why he was being pulled over, and to see the video on multiple angles of him not resisting, his hands up, and for him to be punched in his face after breaking the glass, ripped out onto the floor, onto the ground, and then beaten is atrocious anywhere in America. But Florida has a police brutality problem. It's had a police brutality problem for a long time. And so as a native of the state of Georgia, whose mother is from Jacksonville, I know far too well of the brutality here in Jacksonville. And so what we are calling for is justice.
Yes.
This is not a war on police.
That's right.
This is about justice and accountability for everyone.
Amen. Amen.
So to the sheriff, if you're truly about law and order, you need to turn the law and order on that officer that brutalized Mr. McNeil. Because let's be clear, in this country, nobody's above the law. Nobody can violate the Constitution and not have consequences. And so it's incumbent upon everyone to understand that this could have been us. This could have been me. This could have been you. And but for William's calm nature, his ability to de-escalate, his ability to remain calm. So I was talking in the back and somebody reminded me of some of the heroes of the civil rights movement and how they remained calm when they suffered those brutal indignations. And that harkens back to what William did. He held his hands up. He remained calm. He took a punch without retaliating.
Yeah.
What more would you want? They say he was resisting. Resisting what? The punch to his face? How was he resisting? By putting his hands up? We all give our children the talk, and he mastered the talk. Yes. So now the ball is in law enforcement's court. What more would you have someone do other than ask and exercise their constitutional rights? Amen. This is atrocious. We need justice and accountability. We need that officer held accountable, and I'm honored to stand shoulder to shoulder with William, Attorney Ben Crump, Attorney Harry Daniels, and all of the lawyers that are behind this. But now we need America to send a message. Y'all saw the video. 20 million views. It's time for 20 million people to contact the sheriff and say you need to do something.
Jason, Keith, I would like to say a couple of things. We're not going to take a lot of your time. First of all, I'm blessed and honored to be here to assist Mr. Daniels, Mr. Crump, Mr. Greggs, Mr. Covington. I'm out of Greensboro, North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and we flew in because this case is important. It represents everything we stand for. I've stood toe-to-toe with Mr. Daniels and Mr. Crump in these matters, and we just don't want them to be any more matters like this. We won't change. And I think that the most important part about this is at this stage, I think we've had a lot of conversations about Mr. McNeil and how he responded. But the question is now is how is Jacksonville, Florida going to respond? That's the question. I mean, as we look and we see our youth and we try to give an understanding of what to do in these encounters, what happens when we do all the right things and it still turns out wrong? What happens next? How do we turn the page? How do we make it to where you don't have to fly all these people in to fight for something that should have never happened in the first place?
That part.
And so I would like to say a couple things. I would like to say, first, I'm honored to be here, and we are here to fight for you, and we're going to fight, and we're going to stay as long as it takes. We're flying every time we need to. I'll come back. We'll come back. And we want accountability, and we want it at all levels. And we don't want this to be a situation of swept underneath the rug, because if not, it's going to happen to somebody else. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Keith and Attorney Griggs. It is not lost on us, as Attorney Daniels said, that William represented the best we had to offer. He had never been arrested, never been convicted of any crime, and you can see from everything that happened on the video, he was a very measured young man, and he was trained at a historically black college and university of Livingston College in North Carolina, and it exemplified the best that our children are. You know, when you think about this moment, this truly is what he exhibited was a 21st century Rosa Parks moment, where an African American had the audacity to say, I deserve equal justice under the law. I deserve to be treated like a human being with all the respect that a human being is entitled to. And we can only imagine, had he not been filming that video, what the narrative would have been. And I guess as Attorney Daniels told me, no, we know what the narrative would have been, because he said they didn't know he was filming, and so they wrote these reports that were completely contradicted by the video. And so, God knows you're going to hear from his mother and father in a minute. I can't think of what black mothers must feel when they watch that video. It's hard if you're not a black mother to fathom how much you have to pray every time your child leaves the house that they don't become the next hashtag. Well, he's a hashtag, and thank God he's here because he represents the best of us. Livingston College and HBCUs around America can be proud of William McNeil Jr. Yeah. And President Anthony Davis, the president of Livingston College, who, like Attorney Daniels and I, are a great Omega man.
That's right. Tell the story.
Did not think it robbery to come and stand with his student to let them know that all the HBCU family stands with them. So we're going to hear from this great leader, President Anthony Davis.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but we have miles to go before we sleep, and miles to go before we sleep, and miles to go before we sleep. Meaning that guess what? We have a lot of work to do. My name is Dr. Anthony J. Davis. I am the 13th president of Livingstone College, an HBCU in Salisbury, North Carolina, where Will, that is my affectionate term for him, Will, attends. A biology major who volunteers to play in the marching band. A biology major, not a music major, a biology major that volunteers to play in the marching band. A volunteer in the marching band, an academic student in biology, but also spends time on the weekends being a servant. Like Dr. King said, all of us can be great because all of us can serve. This young man will volunteer on the weekends helping young men and women who don't have the funds to get their cars repaired. He'll find a little corner with a shade tree and he'll go ahead and he'll help students from that old hymn book, if I can help somebody. Amen. As I pass along, if I could cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I can show somebody that they're traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. But we see in that video that his rights were violated.
Yes, they were.
You know, but he showed us restraint. He showed us a little resolve. Showed us resistance.
Yes.
But you know what he's showing us today by standing here tall and strong? Come on, Dr. Dave. That he's resilient.
That part.
Which means he's going to bounce back. And so, my appeal, well, first of all, I want this family to know that the entire Blue Bear Nation stands with Will. Mm-hmm. We stand with you. Mm-hmm. And we believe in what Dr. King said, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yes, sir.
Just know this. There are consequences, and repercussions for your actions. Mm-hmm. On my campus, I haven't had a fight since I've been president in 3 years. You know why? My students know that any act of violence, the consequences and repercussions. Mm-hmm. They know that they go home. Mm-hmm. At minimum, the sheriff who assaulted Will needs to go home. Yes,
come over.
Hello, I'm LaToya Solomon. I'm Williams McNeil's mother. He's my firstborn. He's also my only son. I have 4 children. He is the only boy. I have 3 girls. The day I seen that video, I couldn't finish it past the window breaking. It wasn't until maybe a few months ago I finally finished the whole video. But I'm thankful to God for protecting him because I know what the outcome could have been. But I believe in faith in God. It's what protected my only son. And I thank God for that.
morning.
Good morning.
I'm Alton Solomon, the father, stepfather, but I can't call him my stepson because this is my son.
Yes, sir.
I've been through what he's been through. To see that video made me go back to the moment when I was 22. It hurted. It made me upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I seen what my son did that I had to do. And he sat right. And he did right. To see that is a hurting feeling. To be a father that loved God first, and to see all my kids not being able to wake up in the morning and get a phone call saying your child is gone.
Wow.
That's a hurting feeling, but I thank God.
Yes.
Because God got him.
Yeah.
Y'all keep us in prayer.
William just gonna make a few remarks before we go to Q&A, and keep this family in prayer because, as his mother and father both said, they knew he could have been the next hashtag. It could have been a different result had he not kept his demeanor.
First of all, I want to thank God for bringing everybody here together, and thank y'all for supporting me. That day, I just really wanted to know, why I was getting pulled over and why I needed to step out the car when I know I didn't do nothing wrong. I was really just scared. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, and that's enough, William. Yeah. Thank you. Justice for William McNeil.
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 Yeah. We have to stand up for our children. We have to speak up for our children, and we have to fight for our children. If we don't fight for our children, nobody else is going to fight for our children. That's what Attorney Daniels, our legal team, we have vowed to fight for justice for William McNeil. And we're going to need all of y'all fighting with us. Everybody.
Somebody identify yourself there.
And so we're going to have a few questions and answers from the media. And if you could identify yourself when you ask your question from the media. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not sure if William
can you identify yourself?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm with WCNC News Projects. I don't know if William can answer this or not, but I know the incident happened in February. What gave you the courage to share the video now?
Attorney Daniels.
That's a great question. William was very afraid. Even after the arrest and going in for the first appearance and making a decision to take a plea that he should not have taken a plea to. He was suffering from a concussion. That should have been identified by the courts. But to answer your question, he experienced a traumatic incident where a sworn officer who taken an oath to uphold the law broke the law and beat him. So he's very afraid. He didn't know what could be the consequences or repercussions of presenting. But he, with his faith in his family and speaking with his legal team, he decided to move forward in this matter, particularly that it's not just about William McNeil. It can be somebody else tomorrow. Yeah. And that's what drove him to come forward.
Yeah. I would simply say this. Thank God he recorded that video. Thank God he recorded that video. Yeah, I mean, when you think about all the young people should be recording these interactions with law enforcement, because what it tells us, just like with George Floyd, if we don't record the video, we can see what they put in the police report with George Floyd before they realized the video existed. Right. And now we see what they put in the police report before they realized William McNeil video existed. So everybody, make sure you keep recording all of these interactions with law enforcement.
Right.
Elaine Quijano with CBS News. I wonder, it was said earlier, quote, we all give our children the talk, and he mastered the talk. William, are you able to share what you were taught growing up about police encounters, and how did that come into play in the video that
Basically, what I was taught is to, instead of fighting them on the street where we don't have power at, fight them in the courts.
Amen.
That's right. It's been talked about your composure in that moment. What was going through your mind?
So it was a lot. There was a lot going through.
Right.
Jake's no man actually is Jack's, the sheriff.
All right, folks, so there you see a good share of what we're seeing actually is the first time publicly speaking on this issue for this man who is at the center of that now viral video out of Jacksonville, Florida, showing him being punched and forcibly removed from his vehicle. This is actually a traffic stop from back in February, but he posted his cell phone video of that incident just this week, at the beginning of the week, prompting the Jacksonville sheriff to respond, releasing his own officer's body camera footage and having a press conference of his own to address the issue, saying that there's an internal investigation and essentially we're waiting to see how that turns out. But you can see the attorneys here calling for more. They say that officer who punched him to immediately be terminated, and they're clearly looking at any sort of legal action that they can pursue through the courts. William McNeil, as we shared just before we shared this video with you of this briefing, we've learned he has actually got a Carolina connection. Salisbury's Livingstone College is where he goes to school, where he is a biology major. More on this to come, folks. We want to turn, meantime, to a new feed that we had for you folks just a little bit earlier this evening, but we're going to play it in full. A South Carolina family, probably super relieved, safely extracted from Syria. They were actually stuck there amidst fighting that was going on. An assistant principal at Lyman Elementary School out of South Carolina, as we mentioned, Spartanburg area, Desiree Gomez, her husband, Mohammed Shokar, and their daughter, Salma. They were stuck there while visiting family, and essentially Senator Lindsey Graham said that he got involved in some ways, got in touch with family relatives in the States, worked with the State Department, and they were able to make it home. We got a statement from Senator Graham. We can share that with you right now. Just received the great news that Desiree, an assistant principal at Lyman Elementary, her husband and their daughter have been safely extracted from Syria. My office had been deeply involved in closely monitoring the operation. The family was on a visit to their relatives in Syria. They were caught in the chaos and fighting. And I want to profusely thank the Gray Bull Rescue Foundation for this daring rescue effort, risking their lives to bring this family to safety. At an appropriate time, I intend to do more to recognize the foundation's selfless mission to bring hope and safety, to Americans in harm's way. And I also urge all Americans to pay close attention to all State Department travel advisories before making any trips, even if it is family related. So the family actually spoke, having arrived back in the States. We wanted to listen into their full briefing here on Live Impact News.
You want me to tell you what happened, or you want to fire me with questions? Just tell me what happened. Okay, so a little bit over, just under a week ago, we got contacted by the family. Gray Bull Rescue was contacted by the family. The family was the family here in South Carolina got connected to us through some family friends, and we'll call it the network, right? And what happens is when people get in trouble, they call everyone that they've ever met asking for help. That's what happens. Somehow that got to us. Somehow they got the Grable Rescue. We were, incidentally, we were already forward deployed in the Middle East, which was helpful, on another project. We took the project on and frankly thought it was not going to be too hard. We've done a lot of work in Syria. We've done a lot of work in this part of the world. We just came back from doing Israel and Iran ops just a few weeks ago. So we've been, we keep a forward presence in the Middle East. We know Syria real well. We know Jordan real well. We just moved 1,500 people through Jordan this month. So this part of the world we're very familiar with. Joke's on us. Wasn't so simple. But in fairness, I think flash to bang, we're at 5 days, 5 days, 6 days, something like that, all in, which considering the dynamic on the ground is actually pretty impressive. The situation on the ground is hard to understand as Americans. The sectarian violence is on a medieval scale. People are, this latest round of absolute just murder boils down to a guy who got into a fight with a guy about a vegetable cart. And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people have been slaughtered like sheep over nonsense. So of all the reasons to have a pretty terrible war, this is not the right reason. The government in Syria is trying to figure itself out. Whether they're good or bad doesn't really matter. They're a fledgling government. The tribal dynamics, the religious dynamics, the political dynamics, the terrorist dynamics in Syria equate to a big soup of problems. We deployed immediately to Jordan and started working the streets right away and getting things across the street, across the border into Syria, trying to understand how we're going to do this. We thought it would actually be fairly easy and routine, but the reality is there were so many different elements in between safety and where the family was. It took a little bit of time to peel the banana. I can't really get into how many people were involved, but more than just me, a lot more than just me. A lot of money, a lot of resources. We don't get any help from the government. We are entirely, Grable Rescue is entirely donor funded. I don't get a penny from anyone. We get no intelligence from the government. We get no money from the government. Rarely we even get a thank you note from the government. So we're very organic. So we do everything ourselves, which is one of the reasons why this works. Grable Rescue answers to two people and two people only. The families who we're trying to rescue and God. That's it. That's it. I'm not a colonel trying to become a general. I'm not an ambassador trying to become the Secretary of State. We don't have those problems. We don't charge money, and we don't make money. My entire team are volunteers. There's no money. It's one of the other big reasons why this thing works. My team is not paid. We pay for intelligence, we pay for logistics, we pay for fuel, we pay for security, we pay for those kinds of things. But I myself, I'm not paid. We start working the streets, and basically what we have to do is build a mousetrap in such a way where we can guarantee safety of these Americans who are stuck as the crow flies not far, but the route that we have to take is going to be 4, 5, 6 hours of time through multiple different areas controlled by multiple different groups. This is very delicate stuff. This is pickup sticks. They enter into a mousetrap in danger, and they get spit out here in South Carolina. Lots and lots of people deserve thanks. Most importantly, the people that put themselves at risk on the streets in all these crazy places where literally people are having their mustaches shaved off with belt sanders. People are being summarily executed. People are being thrown off roofs. You name it, it's happening. Real bad stuff. For why? No good reason, frankly. I've been to every major war zone of my generation, and of all the wars that I've been in, this is one of the dumber ones, frankly. So we don't care. From the Grable Rescue perspective, if you have an American passport and your passport looks like mine, and you're in trouble, someone has to come. If that's the government, that's great. If that's the State Department, that's great. If that's Navy SEALs, that's great. If that's whoever, that's great. And if no one else is going to come, that's when we come in, right? If you ask the family, they'll tell you they don't care if they're rescued by SEAL Team 2 or the Ladies Auxiliary of the Elks Lodge. They don't care. What they know is that they're in a bad spot and they don't want to be there anymore. And they need to get out of there as soon as possible. And their safety is the number one concern. We've done just under 800 operations all over the world, just under 9,000 people. We have a 100% success rate. And the reason why that is because we do it ourselves. We answer to absolutely nobody. And the only thing that we care about is the safety of the people who are evacuating. I've never lost anyone in my command, and I've never lost anyone that we've evacuated, ever.
How often are you all going to Syria to rescue folks?
We've done multiple operations in Syria, and frankly, because of this operation, we have a number of cases that have just come in, and we're working on them as we speak.
What emotion are you feeling being here with them?
I get asked this question all the time. It never gets old. As a nonprofit guy, we're at just under 800 missions, just under there. We're at 780 something like that. I don't even count anymore, and it never gets old. It's always, we all have mothers. We're all someone's sons or daughters. We all have mothers, we all have parents, we all have kids, and to be able to bring families home to their moms, to be able to save babies, we're not going to use any names, but she was a great travel companion. She was great. I've traveled with a lot of kids, and she was awesome. She was wonderful. And, here in this crowd, we have kids here, we have moms here, and everyone deserves to be rescued. If you're an American citizen, there's this fine print in your passport that says, "We will come for you." When you call 911, someone answers the phone, always. Always. That doesn't work in places like Guatemala or Syria or Jordan even. When you call 911, when you ask for help as an American citizen, someone always comes. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we are. When I joined the Army as a kid, I took an oath, and my oath doesn't have an expiration date on it. It doesn't. When I worked for the government, I don't wear a uniform. I still don't wear a uniform. I don't even have a costume change. So when we do these things and we can reunite mothers with their mothers, and grandmas with their grandkids, and fathers with their sons, and sisters with their brothers, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. Never gets old. Never gets old.
You mentioned a lot of moving parts. What did it take to get them back here on American soil?
Once we got to safety, it wasn't that bad. Up until then, it was pretty bad. Just a lot of moving parts. 80 or 90 things had to happen in harmony. This stuff is like a symphony. It's like an orchestra. And there's all these instruments that have to play on key. And if there's just one instrument that plays off note, that's the one that everybody hears. And when that happens, that's when we get caught. And when we get caught, bad things happen. So it's important that everything happens in harmony. Everything happens, it's like an orchestra. A big part of what we do is creating confusion. I don't want the bad guys to know what we're doing. I sometimes don't want the good guys to know what we're doing, because people talk. People talk. And loose lips sink ships. So we do a lot of things that are seemingly, to the untrained eye, may even be silly or stupid, but everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose.
We've been traveling for a while, so I think we want to collect our thoughts. But we're so appreciative and grateful. We're so appreciative to our family.
Any other questions?
What was the nature of the danger these folks were in, specifically?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Well, and the situation.
On a scale of 1 to 10, about 120. 11 minutes from one of our rally points, 26 people were killed an hour after we passed through it, to give you an idea. For doing absolutely nothing, by the way. So, when these wars happen, life becomes not even cheap. Not even cheap. There are men that get killed because they have a mustache. Literally. And that's it. If they're nice, they're going to cut your lip off, or if they're really nice, they'll take it off with a belt sander. Pretty horrible. So, from an extreme perspective, these kinds of conflicts are a level of violence and brutality It's very hard for us to understand in the West. It really is. It's very hard for us to conceptualize. We think as a nation we have all these problems and we have all these issues and all this stuff. We have no idea, actually. We actually do not know what pain and suffering really is. We don't really know what actual division is. We like to talk amongst ourselves and everything's relative and that's okay. But you really haven't lived until you've seen a man's mustache taken off with a pair of pliers just for having a mustache and being the wrong religion.
Sorry.
Sure.
The residents where they were situated, were they among family and people they could trust there, and it was what was going on outside and around, or
Where they were, it was in a spot that was hard for anyone to get to, good guys or bad guys, but right, just down the street was pretty bad. That makes sense.
Can I speak?
Sure.
We were in the middle of the city originally. We were there for about 3 or 4 days for the fighting. Then we moved to safety, and that safety was very safe, but it was surrounded by not safe. Yeah. But for a while we were in the middle of it.
You want to talk about the city at all?
Oh yeah, it was safe until it wasn't. And you know, I have a daughter and her life is everything to me, and there's so many people who are still there right now in the middle of it. So I appreciate the prayers for my family, and I appreciate everyone working so hard, but our family's still there. There's plenty of people still there who, besides the resources that they're lacking, every single day of their life is uncertainty now. Every single day of their life, they're wondering, is someone going to come in and put a gun to their head and, you know, choose life based on the religion or whatever. But so y'all continue to pray for the people there. Not everyone is as lucky as we are. Okay. Thank you.
I just want to say I owe my family life to God, Grable, represented by Brian and his team, my family here and back home in Syria. We didn't get much help from any embassy around Syria. Our decision to travel there was based on the sanction that we were left by our administration, and our administration took off Syria off the terrorist list, took off the current president of the terrorist list, and we made our decision to travel and see my family based on those decisions made by our administration. What happened there was not expected. We didn't take that decision lightly. So I just want people to understand that. Some people have been saying we spent taxpayer money. We didn't use any taxpayer money. Everything was donor funded by Grable Foundation, represented by Brian Stern. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Donate to Grable. It's a very good cause. They save lives.
GrableRescue.org website. Shameless plug. Any other questions?
I actually had a question. I'm
Sure.
Sorry. How did you guys first hear about the rescue and what was going through your head?
I mean, we contacted, as soon as things kind of got bad, we contacted family to have them start working things out. Because it's kind of difficult to organize your own kind of rescue in the middle of mortars and things blasting all around you. So it was all on our family. Chris, Val, my sisters, my mom, my best friends, Renee. They're all doing everything here. We lost a lot of communication because the internet was spotty, and then the internet was cut, and you know, they did it all.
How did you feel when they were coming?
Well, like he said, they were coming for a couple of days, and whenever we would get communication, they would say, okay, we're coming, be ready, and we were ready, and then it wasn't working out on their end for safety reasons or whatever, and then be ready, and then finally we were ready and we left, and it was swift and dangerous, and but we're here, so that's what really matters.
What did it feel like to step off the plane and know that?
And there you hear it, folks, a family remarking on what they've been through in an attempt to get home from Syria back to where they live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Clearly a family that's been through a lot. Just a quick recap. They were actually overseas visiting family in Syria when there was some fighting that escalated and they were trapped. So there was a foundation called Grable Rescue that stepped in. We heard from a gentleman representing that nonprofit talking about how they actually do these kinds of rescues. They seemingly specialize in these types of rescues, but probably a weary family, relieved to be home. But as we heard there from the mother there, who's actually an assistant principal at one of the schools in Spartanburg, still thinking of all those folks back in Syria, some of her loved ones who are still there, who they're thinking of and hoping that they stay safe. Folks, we want to turn now to an update out of Ohio. We actually brought you some of this coverage during our 3 o'clock stream here on Live Impact News as it was happening, but we've got for you an update on this officer-involved shooting where, unfortunately, we were hearing of 3 officers who were shot. The suspect in this case is dead. We're now hearing this situation being characterized as an ambush. So that information coming from authorities within the last couple of hours as they shared not only what led up to this, the fact that they believe this was an ambush, but also how some of the officers are doing. And we see at least 2 of them sustaining serious injuries. Let's listen in to this earlier briefing out of Lorain, Ohio, which is just west of Cleveland.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Welsh. I'm the Elyria Police Chief. I appreciate your patience during this difficult day for law enforcement. I'm going to try and give you as much information as I possibly can. At this point, Lorain Police responded to the dead end of Riverbend Drive at the intersection of Colorado Avenue around 1 o'clock this afternoon, where they encountered a man at the dead end. They exchanged gunfire with the man, and 3 of the officers were injured during the gunfire, and the suspect was DOA. I cannot confirm if the suspect took his own life at this point or if it was the return fire from law enforcement. This was an ambush situation. This is a difficult day for the Lorain Police Department and the law enforcement community. The reason I'm speaking is the Elyria Police Department will be handling the investigation of the officer-involved shooting, along with our local partners with the Sheriff's Department and the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, as well as other federal partners. We're going to make sure that we conduct a thorough investigation to determine exactly what happened here today. Unfortunately, as I said, 3 officers were shot. They're being evaluated at this point at Metro Hospital in Cleveland. I do not have confirmation of their injuries. One was seriously injured. I can't tell you that. So we pray for the officers' families. I want to extend my prayers and condolences for the Lorain Police Department and all the law enforcement officers that responded here today to assist in this investigation. I want to commend the officers who encountered the suspect for their bravery and heroic efforts in preventing other people from being injured. At this point, again, I appreciate your understanding. There's not a lot more I can divulge at this point. This is an active investigation. We want to make sure that we do a thorough job in determining what happened here, and because of that, there's not a lot I can speculate on at this point, but I'm willing to take some questions.
Chief, when you say ambush, can you set the scene that the officers encountered and why you have concluded already that it was an ambush?
To my understanding, there was one male who had a vehicle parked at the dead end behind me on Riverbend Drive. When the officers arrived, he opened fire with a high-powered rifle and shot at the officers.
And what happened?
The officers returned fire.
Why were officers
originally dispatched there?
So I'm sorry, one question at a time, guys.
He was killed instantly.
I don't have that information at this point.
Initially, there were some reports about a second gunman. Is there any credence to that?
Not to my knowledge, but again, this is an open investigation.
What was the call for service? Why did officers arrive here?
It's my understanding that they were doing proactive patrolling in the area, and it was a random encounter with the suspect. But again, I don't want to speculate until I, am able to determine exactly why they were here. But I can confirm that upon their arrival, they were shot at by this gunman in an ambush type situation.
Were they all three flown to Metro by life flight? Because we were told initially one of them was taken to Mercy in Lorraine.
It's my understanding that 2 were flown to Metro.
And that the third is at Mercy.
I can confirm that 3 of them are being evaluated for gunshot wounds. I don't have specifics on their current medical status or where their locations.
Jim, do you know how many officers were? We have the 3 officers who are wounded. Were there any officers with them at that time, or was it just the 3?
Obviously, when the situation occurred, there was a request for backup due to shots fired, and other officers responded at that time. And I don't have specifics on what their involvement was once they arrived. That's something that we're going to uncover through the course of the investigation. And when I get those answers for you, I will report back.
Can you tell us anything about the suspect? Anything?
Yes. White male, 28 years old. Last known address was Lorraine, Ohio. At this point, I'm fairly confident we've confirmed his identity, but I'm not going to release that at this time.
Does he have a criminal background?
What I can tell you is this area is safe to the public, and we've contained the area, and there's no danger to anybody who travels along Colorado Avenue. We got multiple tactical teams out here, multiple agencies to assist, and the area is safe.
So just to clarify, there was never a search for additional suspects?
After the initial scene was safe when the suspect was neutralized, and again, I can't confirm exactly what took place there. I can tell you there was an exchange of gunfire between the suspect and the officers that responded. Once the initial shots fired ended, we had multiple tactical teams from locally, including Elyria Police, Lorain County Sheriff's Office. We had state police, chopper here, other tactical teams from the area. Searched the wood line down near the riverbank to make sure there wasn't additional suspects. At this point, no other suspects has been located, and we're fairly confident that it's one lone gunman.
Can you tell us if he was drawn, if the officers were drawn here, if he did anything that was provocative that made them come here and confront him?
No, to answer that question, I do not have that information at this point.
I can tell this is difficult for you to talk about. Can you elaborate a little more on how taxing this can be for your members? You're seeing hundreds of cars and dozens of departments.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, I just want to extend my condolences to the officers' families. First of all, the Lorain Police Department, the City of Lorain, we're here to support them, as well as Sheriff Hall and his deputies and our federal and local partners. Anytime law enforcement is injured, it's a difficult day for the law enforcement community, and we're going to do everything we can to support Lorain Police and conduct a thorough and successful investigation to determine exactly what happened. But yeah, as you can see by the response of all the agencies locally, federally, I'm sure the Lorain Police Department is appreciative of that, and they're hurting right now, and we're going to do everything we can to support them.
Chief, we could see a boat from our chapter 2. Was that involved in the scene or as part of the investigation?
In regards to the boat, there's a river that backs up to the dead end here near where the suspect's vehicle was found. So in part of the search of the area, we wanted to coordinate efforts along the riverbank to make sure we didn't have additional suspects in that location.
So that was a law enforcement boat?
Yes.
Okay.
Chief, as best you can you describe the weapon that he used? Are you able to say how many shots were fired?
I cannot confirm. I can tell you there's one weapon. I'd be speculating if I gave you any more information because I just don't have it.
Is it some kind of assault type weapon?
I don't know.
Okay.
Chief, so just to be clear, based on your knowledge now, you believe that this was an encounter that officers were not called or dispatched to this location?
I don't have specifics as to why the officers were in this area. So it would be improper for me to comment on that because it would just be speculation.
Are you able to share anything about the officers, how long they were in the force, their ages, anything like that?
At this point, we're not going to release the identities of the officers until we made notification, made sure that we confirm notification to their families and find out their actual condition.
Members of the public seem like they want to help, show appreciation. What can they do?
Yeah, that's a great question. If there are any members of the public that may have witnessed this or have any information on the shooting, they can contact the Elyria Police Department at 440-323-3302, or they can reach out to the Lorraine Police Department and provide their name and information, and we'll contact them. We want to get all available information that's out there, so I encourage the public to reach out if they have additional information that can help us determine exactly what happened today in this tragic situation.
Chief, I saw a BCI truck pulling in earlier. Are they investigating as well?
Yes.
Are they the lead agency? I know you mentioned officer involved shooting. Is that what they're investigating? What is their role in this? Do you know?
I do know. They're assisting. We are the Elyria Police Department is the lead agency that's handling investigation, but again, due to the expansive crime scene and multiple crime scenes, we reached out to BCI for assistance in helping us recover evidence and trajectory of rounds and things of that nature to conduct the other aspect of the investigation and evidentiary-wise.
Multiple crime scenes. How were there multiple crime scenes? It wasn't just the ambush that isn't where it ended. This happened in multiple places.
Everything occurred back in this area, but this was an exchange of gunfire, so there's some multiple locations where that occurred.
How long were they exchanging? How long did this gunfight go on for?
I don't have that exact information.
Since we're not back there, can you give us a lay of the land of what that dead end area looks like?
I cannot because I haven't been back there at this point. To my understanding, this road extends about a mile and a half from where we are. It's a dead end to a wooded area, and the river's behind it. That's the best explanation I can give you, and the suspect and his vehicle are located back there.
Notice the bomb squad was here. Any special reason?
Precautions for follow-up investigations.
So I just wanted to clarify what you said. So you said the suspect body is still back there?
Yes. We have Lorraine County coroners on scene, and they're also assisting in the investigation.
And this 28-year-old white male whose last known address from Lorraine, he was the only one you know that was there in that car?
Yes. At this point, we can confirm that he's a lone gunman.
To the extent any motive may have been expressed, have you guys heard anything about why this person may have done this?
That's something that we're looking into, but I don't have specifics on a motive at this point.
Do you have another update, Jim?
I will have additional updates as the investigation progresses, and we can confirm some of the questions that you've asked here today, and once I get that information, we will extend additional, more in-depth release as to our findings. I'd like to say that I appreciate you guys being patient and waiting to speak with somebody from law enforcement, and I hope I was able to answer most of your questions.
Lastly, what is your message to the community? I mean, we see all these people out here and wanting to know what's happening, wanting those updates, and a lot of different information going around that is not true. What do you want to say to the people who live in this area?
Well, I think my presence here today, trying to give you the information that I have, lends to the transparency of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to conduct an impartial but thorough investigation so we can determine exactly what transpired here and why this senseless act took place. I'd ask the community to support the Lorain Police Department in their time of need. They had 3 officers that were shot and are injured, and they need the support of the public right now, as do all the law enforcement agencies in this area. So I would just hope that they would support the police and understand that this is an ongoing investigation, and it will take time to determine exactly what transpired here today. But my goal and all the officers that are here investigating is to make sure we do a thorough investigation so we can report back to you and the public our findings.
Thank you. Chief, one more. Did you have a lead investigator select?
And folks, there you see most of this recent press update with actually a chief from a different police department there in Ohio than the police department that is impacted by what they have described as an ambush shooting on Lorain Police. But Elira Police Chief James Welsh sharing how they will be conducting this investigation. You heard him talking about this was an ambush situation. 3 officers shot. At last check, 2 had serious injuries. There was a 3rd who we're told was shot in the hand and has been treated for that at this point. We will keep you posted as we learn more from Lorain, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland. We do have an update to share on a topic that we brought you earlier this week here on Live Impact News around this time. You might remember we had our Tradisha Woodard stop by the Live Impact News studio to talk about a story that she was working on regarding a pet grooming business out of Mooresville, where there are some videos circulating online of one of the groomers aggressively handling some of the dogs in her care. We've actually just learned today that that employee is now a former employee. So the owner of Classy Critters Pet Resort and Spa says that this employee has now been fired, and that employee is also now facing charges. Our Aldo County Sheriff's Office saying that 4 counts of felony animal cruelty are on the table for Kirsten Taylor, who's 28 years old, and there could be more charges according to deputies. They say that they're still in the process of doing the investigation. They're talking with pet owners and collecting more evidence, so it's possible that we have even more updates to share on this. Meantime, we want to kind of recap the case for you. Here's our Tradisha Woodard's report filed later in the evening after she spoke with us here on the stream.
Classy Critter Pet Resort and Spa. They're known for their clean cuts and hospitality.
Some of the staff members are just such great people.
But now a disturbing video has cracked that image wide open, showing what has happened behind closed doors when no one's watching.
I was in complete shock because we've been going there for 3 years.
A client who wishes to remain anonymous says the video is disturbing and hard to watch. It shows a dog restrained on a grooming table, jerked, punched, and visibly terrified.
And I don't even know, after seeing this video, how long this person worked there. I kind of feel like that if something happened once, there's a possibility of happening again.
The owner of the facility has addressed the situation on social media via emails and to all incoming callers.
Hi, if you're calling about the video that is going around social media, the behavior is totally unacceptable and it was addressed immediately, and the employee no longer works here. She was also reported to Animal Control and the Sheriff's Office. I have zero tolerance for any type of abuse with the animals in my care. I have made this clear with my employees.
But still, some pet owners say the damage has already been done. The broken trust has many walking away for good.
Will we go back? No. After this, and I'm sorry to say that, but I think we're going to end up having a mobile groomer instead, and that has a camera and leaves their door open.
Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Like we mentioned, possibility of more updates to come as the Iredell County Sheriff's Office continues this investigation. It does say that potentially more charges could be coming. With that, we want to turn to weather here because we know we've had some weather alert days recently. We had a nice break today from the heat, but we are not totally clear from the heat concerns. In fact, when you get a look here of this forecast with Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich, you're probably going to be like, there's a big doozy coming up, and it's a big stretch of really, really hot temperatures. But let's listen in here to what Brad has to say.
Let's go to the forecast today. Really felt good.
Yeah, I don't know. Was it the dew point, Brad? The temperatures, all of it?
I mean, it was definitely drier air. So when you got in the shade, it actually felt pretty pleasant. So it wasn't super muggy, and it wasn't as hot. Only 92. It seems crazy. That's still 2 degrees above average. But compared to what we've seen recently, it did feel like a step in the right direction. Now, tomorrow, we'll call it seasonally hot again. So temperatures low 90s, still relatively dry. But this weekend, 100-degree heat wave is going to start. And I'm not talking heat index. I'm talking actual air temperature around 100. And it could last for several days, and it's going to stay dry. So the potential for what's called a flash drought. We're already pretty dry now, that we could see that continue to get worse through time and a quick onset of drought conditions in some parts of our area. 17 days in a row of 90 plus. That ties the streak that we had earlier in the season, which started in June into early July, and now it looks like this could go even longer. So 2 of the longer streaks we've seen in a couple of years of 90-degree heat. 72 tomorrow morning, so a nice start to the day. And like today, it'll be hot, but kind of seasonably hot around 92, 93, close to where we were today. Now the dew points, believe it or not, actually are trending down. This is going to be a dry heat wave, but that's not always a good thing because that could lead to the flash drought conditions. And the drier the air is, believe it or not, the hotter it can get. It can cause the air temperature to get up there. So while the feel-like readings might only be 105, 106, that's still the danger category. It's going to be because the air temperature is close to that already. So it's going to be that kind of heat wave, 100-degree heat with not a lot of rain. The 7-day rainfall forecast, boy, if your lawn is brown, it might be time to give up on it and just wait till the fall, the cooler temperatures and wetter conditions, because you're hard pressed, even with irrigation, to catch up on some of this because we already have some abnormally dry conditions in our area. The drought starting to creep back into the forecast here. Tomorrow we'll get an update, so I wouldn't be shocked to see the abnormally dry conditions extending a little bit with another week of dry. And really the heat is the story because it's pulling so much moisture out of the ground and those plants. Evaporation rates are through the roof. You could see the lack of really significant rain chances until maybe next weekend, and even then it's still the scattered variety. We might need a decaying tropical system of some kind. We don't want a storm or a hurricane, but some of that moisture would be much needed across the region. You see the heat dome building over the southeastern U.S. That leads to heat impacts increasing. Tomorrow still not bad. Thursday, not bad. Friday, getting a little more towards the major category, but this weekend, boy, by Saturday, we could see major to extreme heat impacts, and certainly by Sunday and Monday, because it will be hot enough to drive up these extreme conditions. Look at all that purple. It's been a while since we've seen that much purple on the map. The heat dome, it's not going anywhere. In fact, it'll be camped out over the southeast, so this hot, dry pattern, it's going to be sticking around into the beginning of August. So I love to tell you there's some big relief heading our way, just none in sight right now. In fact, when you look at the 7-day forecast, we want you to stay weather alert starting Saturday all the way through the middle of next week. Yeah, 100 degrees for high temperatures, morning lows barely getting below 80. That's the other part of the story. Now the 10-day forecast does show signs of wetter, maybe cooler weather by the time we get towards the end of the month, maybe into the start of August.
Wow, and that 89. Well, to finish that thought, the 89 really looks good, doesn't it? Okay, folks, with that, we want to wrap things up here with something that's probably a big warning for everyone here in Charlotte: phone thefts. Cell phones are being targeted right now. We actually have 2 team members here who say they know people who had phones stolen here in Charlotte. So with that, here's the warning.
Last January, Thomas Baker was out with friends at a bar in Charlotte, North Carolina. The last time he had his phone.
It was kind of surprising because
you don't really expect to be pickpocketed in Charlotte.
But actually, phone thefts at bars in Charlotte have gotten so bad, the police posted this video warning online.
I don't think this is a Charlotte issue. I don't think it's a Center City issue. I think this is a national issue.
Back home, Baker logged into Find My iPhone on his laptop.
I started tracking the location.
Within hours, his phone went from Charlotte to Cowpen, South Carolina. Thomas Baker's phone was clearly on the move, and it ended up here, not in North or South Carolina, but Miami, Florida. And the Find My app placed it inside this 100-year-old church downtown. Pastor Gideon Ape is not surprised. He says dozens of people from all over the country have reached out about stolen phones since last August. So often, he reported it to the police, who came up empty.
We started getting people walking up to the church, like, pounding on the doors, like, hey, my phone is here, my phone is here.
The pastor let them inside the church, walking them through the pews. The phones weren't here. Just to be crystal clear, Pastor Gideon, when you are not giving your sermon in front of a congregation, you are not collecting stolen phones, are you?
No, absolutely not. No, not at all.
Baker's phone's exact location was difficult to pin down, clearly not in the church, and more likely in a nearby building, making its way through something of a black market pipeline. And even though Baker had used Apple's security features to lock the phone, the hardware was still valuable. That's probably why it ended up in the last place it pinged, Hong Kong.
We build these devices that are just so valuable that we just wave around, like, just literally shaking around gold bricks in the air.
Andrew Huang is a hardware engineer and often visits this market in Shenzhen, China, not that far from Hong Kong, where he says the sale of cell phone parts does big business.
You'll see bags, like just kilogram bags of cameras just sitting there, and you'll see like a pile of like 100 screens sitting on another table.
A long journey for a phone that was stolen in Charlotte, North Carolina, and a vivid reminder that on a night out.
How about also don't keep your phone in your back pocket?
Yeah, I was going to get to that one too. Yeah, don't keep your phone in your back pocket. As many friends lovingly reminded me that night.
And we'll share this too. CMPD says that they are seeing not only phones being stolen from back pockets, but also purses and even directly out of people's hands, which actually one of our team members has a friend that this just happened to over the weekend, right out of her hand. So keep your phone zipped away, stored in a safe location as much as possible. Make sure you're setting up your tracking apps like Find My Phone, Find My Device. And there's this, know your phone's passcode and record its serial number. That way you can know that it's yours and prove it. With that, we're going to turn you over to our next hour of programming. Thanks for joining us.